copy and send us your questions through the Q&A and the chat section on your Zoom program. How did this research come about on colored gemstones?
So a mining company approached us last year and said that they wondered more about the U.S. market. What kind of stones were the most valued, how consumers visualize colored stones as opposed to the trade, what were the opportunities in the market? I mean, pretty broad questions. So we set out and conducted a very large consumer and trade research study. Over 1,000 consumers completed it in the US, and we did over 100 interviews with trade people, everywhere from gemstone dealers all the way to retailers, including major retailers and independent store retailers. So when we got the data back, we of course went through it. We did a lot of cross tabulations. Where's really the essence of the information? We gave that to the client. We gave them a presentation. We said, you know what? We're finding some real disconnects between the three groups. There's consumers, there's retailers, and then there's the supply chain. And all three of them have disconnects with each other. So they thought about this for about a month. Then they came back to us and they said, well, what's the solution so everyone can sell more colored gemstones? So we thought about it for a while and we said, you know what? An opportunity here is to realign, to get rid of these disconnects and to make sure that the supply chain is as robust as possible to sell more product to consumers who really want more color gemstones. They want more options and they want more gemstone jewelry in showcases. So we gave them some ideas, we hashed it over, and we ended up developing what's called the Fura Marketing Council to help the entire industry sell more color gemstones, kind of focused on ruby, emerald, and sapphire, because that's what this mining company mines. But they know that if ruby, emerald, and sapphires are doing better, all color gemstones will do better. So that's how we ended up launching this.
Very good, very good. So why don't we start looking at your results? And anyone that has questions, please let us know. And I got something here in the chat. Let's see. Good morning from Judy. And we've got a few good mornings. So let's get going. You go ahead and share your screen. I'll stop my video and I'll let you know if there are questions.
Okay.
It's all yours. Take it away.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, beautiful.
Okay, so Fura is the name of the mining company that hired us originally to do the research. So the Fura Marketing Council wasn't even dreamt of at that point. We just wanted to investigate what was happening again with these three groups. And from there is really the backbone of why the Fura Marketing Council was developed.
Well, I would like to reassert something that you said, that due to the answers on this survey, we are focused on ruby, emerald, and sapphire as far as color goes. And it's fascinating the results you came up with. And thank you to Fura for sharing this information, because I think everyone reading through it, you're going to deliver it, but they'll have a chance to look through it and see, how does this affect what you're going to do for your business? Let's go, Liz.
Okay. So I just wanted to reintroduce our company, MVEye Marketing. A lot of people may know us. We actually launched champagne diamonds worldwide for what's now known as Rio Tinto. This was really the Argyle mine in Australia. That was back in 1990, or actually 89, we started with them, with champagne diamonds. We helped produce the C1 through C7 chart. A lot of retailers that are probably listening in know champagne diamonds, probably sell some. There's lots of jewelry manufacturers. A lot of the major retailers do champagne diamonds. But then we also developed, shortly after the Champagne Diamond Program, we developed the Indo-Argyle Diamond Council. Now that's less known, but it was really a way to take the product that was coming out of India, the loose stones and the finished jewelry, and make them more helpful to the US market. And because Argyle produced because it just closed, pretty small size diamonds, fashion diamond jewelry really took off because of these programs.
Very good.
So the research that we did, which by the way, at the end of this presentation, you're going to see a code to go to our website and get a free copy of the full research report. I'm just going to highlight some things here that I think are maybe the most important for this conversation today. So probably not a shock to anyone, but 93% of jewelry shoppers, you know, in our research, we really only took consumers that are somehow engaged in fine jewelry, because we have found, you know, we do a tremendous amount of consumer research. That is really 50% of all of our business. And when you just do, you know, what they call run a population, it can be a little skewed, because as we all know, there are families that just are not involved in fine jewelry. It's just not something important to them. So we really wanted to talk to families that somehow fine jewelry is involved in their family. They give it as gifts and they have engagement rings. And so looking at those people, 93% love or like ruby, emerald, and sapphire. I mean, they just love color. These are the primary, you know, 3 precious colored gemstones. So it sort of validated what we all think. 92% of jewelry manufacturers, 75% of retailers say that their margins are even higher on colored gemstones. Not just ruby, emerald, and sapphires, but all colored gemstones. So the reason I put this right up front is, why are we here today? What is that disconnect I alluded to before, and how do we realign that? So this is really important. The consumers love the product. They love all gem colors, but especially ruby, emerald, and sapphire. And the trade makes more margin on color compared to diamonds. How much higher is that margin? Now, these are from over 100 interviews with trade people in America. So retailers say that their gross margins are 65% for color as opposed to 33% for diamond. So there's a 32% increase that they get for colored gemstone jewelry over diamond jewelry. And even on the wholesale level, it's 10%. But what was interesting is a lot of wholesalers don't even know what their margins are on color, because, you know, you do so much with your raw materials, it's a little hard to monitor, but at least 10% was what they were telling us. Now, what is the trade doing about this information? Right now, jewelry specialty stores, which really mean like chain jewelers, you know, the Helzbergs and the Zales of the world, they do about 9% of their business in color gemstones. Just 9%. And yet you saw that 92% of consumers love precious color gemstones. And for all color gemstones, that it's very high, like in the 90s anyway. But yet the retailer's only doing 9%. Not every segment of retailing, but the chain stores. This is about average.
There definitely is some opportunity there. But hey, Liz, are you wearing your microphone? Because I think we're getting a little interference.
Oh, well, let me just make sure my phone is off.
Okay. It's not bad. I'll let you know.
Okay. Is this a little better?
I think so.
Okay. So as a trade, it's only 9%. If we could raise it just by 1% each time, you're looking at maybe an estimate of $270,000, sorry, $70 million just with the specialty stores. That's not the whole industry, but just with the specialty stores, we could be raising at $270 million. So what are those barriers that we need to sort of realign so there's not such a disconnect? What are the barriers to sell more, right? And to give the consumer really what they want? So jewelry manufacturers say that retailers don't know how to sell color. And retailers say jewelry manufacturers don't advertise or offer co-op advertising support at all. So all of a sudden, you know, we already see where the disconnects can be. This is, you know, reiterated in many questions in the full report, which you'll see. So what are more barriers to selling? So retailers say, even though it's only 9%, train or promote color gemstone jewelry, that they're really satisfied with that 9% of effort that they're putting out. Yet 60% of consumers want to see more color gemstone jewelry in jewelry stores. So here's the trade putting up, let's just round it off to 10% of effort, and yet 60% of consumers want to see more.
That's certainly interesting information. The people that are on here today, what are your barriers in doing a business in color? If you want to put that in the chat, I'll review it with as we go along. But put it in the chat. What are your barriers? Let's go.
Consumers want to buy traditional precious color gemstones. We asked them about lots of different colored gemstones. You know, 46% of consumers purchased sapphires already. Ruby and emeralds, 41%. 69% of consumers says that they're somewhat or likely to buy ruby within the next 2 years. I mean, these are numbers where action will happen. We have what we call in research the pendulum. So the pendulum number, it varies depending on what the category is, but in this category, it's about 40%. So 40% or more of consumers say that they're going to take an action. They usually do at some level. So we have over 40% here for traditional, you know, precious color gemstones already to purchase with, you know, soon, next 2 years. They also like non-traditional color gemstones. So we particularly put in all these different color sapphires because Fura mines these color sapphires in Australia. So we wanted to know, I mean, are these of interest to consumers? Is it really something that is perhaps an underdeveloped opportunity for the whole trade? So within this research, we even researched party sapphire. Party sapphire is sort of a local Australian term for tricolor sapphire. It comes right out of Australia, in the northeastern part of Australia. And usually it has the blue, green, and yellow, all in the same stone. So 78% of consumers like them. Only 18% of retailers and suppliers already sell them. Then there's also black sapphire. Now, you know, black diamonds are pretty popular, especially as accent stones and to highlight, you know, other colors. Black sapphires ranked pretty well too. As you see that star sapphire, which is the way I always think of black sapphire too, is sort of a men's product, you know, that cabochon star sapphire. Consumers love the idea. You know, that hasn't been researched. Really none of these different color sapphires have been researched in, I don't know how long, maybe forever. And then we get into the fancy colors, you know, the yellow, the greenish yellow, the greenish blue, the bluish greens. Consumers are fascinating. You know, a long time ago, we found the same thing with champagne diamonds. Consumers were fascinated that diamonds even came in color. And back, you know, in those days, a lot of salespeople didn't even know that diamonds came in color. So when you show consumers colored gemstones that, you know, traditionally they look at it this way, and you give them options of looking at it multiple ways, they're innately interested because consumers love jewelry. We know that. So something else about mining, we're all seeing this day in and day out about mining. Consumers want to know the origin of their products. You see this with coffee, you see it with chocolate, you know, they want to know where it comes from, how did it get to the store they're buying it, was everyone treated well? So we talked about transparency and chain of custody in the research. And consumers thought it was really, you know, quite important to understand this. It's interesting because more men, slightly more men, were more concerned about a transparent chain of custody than women. Not a lot more, but somewhat more. So that was interesting. Now, it just so happens with this research, the client is the origin. They are miners. I mean, they mine all this, ruby, emeralds, and sapphires in several different countries. So to have the origin, you know, ability to start from the origin, then chain of custody can fall into line, you know, relatively well. So this may help, you know, other mines too. It may help, you know, a lot of colored gemstones coming out of different parts of the world.
Well, we know it's become increasingly important with diamond. So it stands to reason that it would be important with color as well.
That's true. That's very, very true. And Tiffany, you know, has a whole story about the diamond origin, and other designers and brands are getting into that. It is really the future. I mean, we're going to have to make sure that the whole industry has the ability to not just make claims at retail, but to have third-party certified claims at retail that yes, this is the origin of the product and this is how it went through the supply chain and came into the store, and that everyone was treated well going through the whole process. We want to feel good about the product that we're putting into jewelry stores, and certainly jewelers want to feel that way. So this client, Fura, they mine in 3 different countries. So they know their origin. So they mine, you know, emeralds in Colombia, Mozambique rubies, multicolor, all those different colors of sapphires in Australia. So knowing this is going to be really important especially to retailers. And it's interesting because in the research, a lot of different levels of the industry did not know where their color comes from. Never really asked. And a lot of it, of course, is not chain of custody. It's all mixed together. It all ends up at trade shows. That's all kind of been our norm. And certainly everyone, all of us have participated in that. But now that we see the consumer is becoming more aware of asking questions about where the product comes from, we're going to have to make sure that we're educated on that. And that it's third-party verified, independently third-party verified. So the reason I'm putting this up there is when you're talking about product, let's say that you are dealing with Fura product, you need to be able to show. And of course, Fura will support it with printouts and little brochures that you can, you know, train your staff and yourself about, you know, their emerald mine, their ruby mine, and their mines in Australia with all the different sapphires. You're gonna get this, so you should be getting this type of support from lots of different suppliers into the pipeline.
So would they become members of the marketing council?
Excuse me?
Would the supplier become a member of the marketing council?
They can. They can definitely become. Everyone within, I'm going to explain this, but everyone within the supply chain can become a member of the marketing council, including retailers. So why are colored gemstones a rainbow of possibilities? Thank you for that title, by the way, Cindy. It's great. It becomes a rainbow of opportunities because jewelry shoppers have told us over and over and over that they want to see more colored gemstones. Even when we do diamond research, it comes up. And I think it's because colored gemstones tend to have great visual appeal. It shows up in store showcases. It has great story to it. A lot of stones aren't all identical, so it makes it a little more unique. I mean, these are great attributes that salespeople use all the time, of course, when they're selling color. But the fact is that the white on white, white diamond, white metal, it's been running now since platinum took off within our industry for almost 20 years. And really, consumers would like to see more color in the store. Color diamonds, color gemstones, color metals. There are different color metals coming into play now. All this is great. Consumers love to see color, uniqueness, freshness. That's what they want.
Well,
And
Liz,
they
I
tell
have
us
a
that
question for you from,
so much
from
of
our audience here. We have a question. How
Sure.
do we assure our customers about the quality of our gemstones? And that might be part of the chain of custody and information that's in that. Let us know, how do they use this to assure the quality of gemstones to their customers?
So very, very good question, because this is all about education, product education, and also sales training. So the Fura Marketing Council is putting together both, by the way, right now. We're putting together an active video series and handouts, and online. We have a website, so we have download abilities online for this type of information. But really, it has to start with the chain. Where are your suppliers getting their product? You're usually buying jewelry, finished jewelry, color stone finished jewelry. Where do your suppliers get their stones? What are the stones? What kind of treatments have they had? What's their origin? All that information, it's really going to be up to the retailer. The retailer guides everything. And then, of course, the retailer is guided by the consumer. But the trade is guided by the retailer. If the retailer starts asking questions of their suppliers, in fact, I know of a retailer that has a form that they make their suppliers fill out about every style or collection that they bring in, because they want to educate their salespeople all the time about what it is that's in that product and how it got here. So the best form of information is your chain of supply, and to make sure that they are telling you what treatments were made, what the origin of the stones are. This isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to take a little time, but I think retailers should start asking, so then up the supply chain, they will start making sure that the product comes with this type of information. Does that help?
I have a comment here about AGTA, and I know that your marketing council and Fura are members of the AGTA. So I'm sure the ethics and standards from AGTA are applied to the chain of command and custody that you're speaking about now, correct?
Correct. Well, we're just putting together all of our supply chain attributes, plus by the end of this year, I believe Fura will be a member of the Responsible Jewelry Council. So they're putting in steps to track and trace and have a complete chain of custody for their product. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yep. And by the way, we're coming up with some training and education, and these other groups have training. The trade has training and education about color gemstones too. So I encourage everyone to take advantage of every type of opportunity out there to self-educate and be supported in educating. So back to the presentation. So again, we did this big research study. We did all these interviews with the trade. We looked to see where help was needed. And from that, we formed the Fura Marketing Council. So it's really for all levels of the pipeline. So the mine, we know the origin, that's Fura. They mine in 3 different countries. But then you have, stone cutters, you have dealers, you have jewelry manufacturers, and then you have retailers. So the membership is all 4 of those groups: dealers, cutters, jewelry manufacturers, and retailers. membership into the council. So Fura's put up $2 million and said, look, we want to start realigning these opportunities out there for everyone to do better with color. So we just launched it. It's very new. We will be at the AGTA. We're having a press event at AGTA this year in Las Vegas to do our formal announcement. Plus, that will probably be where we announce our educational program. And we have a booth there, and then we have a booth at JCK also.
Wonderful. That education is important. Jan. I'm looking at your figures here, and the number of salespeople that don't know or uncomfortable selling color, and education is key. And there is education out in the industry, and it'll be nice to see what's specialized based on this survey. Now, the supply chain, you're supporting the entire pipeline. How is that information captured from mine to the retailer? What are the steps? I know you're probably using technology like blockchain, but can you clear that up for me?
So, all of these different methods out there, which by the way, they were really launched for diamond. So now we're trying to get those different groups to focus on color. So Fura is now developing the protocols. I should say they're developing adhering to the protocols for these third-party certification companies. So, and then the third-party certification companies would work with Fura. They'll work with where the product goes next. Sometimes it's directly to a cutter, who, by the way, may be the jewelry manufacturer and who sells directly into a retailer. So that whole process can be very tight like that, or it could be a little bit looser. Other levels could be added in. But for those companies that want to have the product show up at retail, third-party certified of its origin, then they need to have worked with Fura at the beginning. So Fura needs to start that whole pipeline with the right protocols, adhering to the right protocols. So the different companies, I don't want to mention any company yet because everybody is really just putting together how this system is going to work. Some of them are already doing it for diamonds. So now they're going to adjust it for color. And they're working with Fura of how that can operate smoothly. So it's very exciting. This is like just on the forefront of how we can do this for color. Now, there are things that are much more, available. Like for instance, Fura just had its first auction of emeralds. So the sheer number of emeralds is much less than it is for sapphires. So some of those purchasers of the emeralds are already starting a tracking system to make sure that those special emeralds can end up at retail, displaying the origin that it came from the mine in Colombia. So it's all new days here. Everyone is working around the clock almost to make sure that we can put together what that great chain of custody is going to look like. It may take a little while, but I think retailers, the more the retailers press back on the supply chain and start demanding things, the faster everyone's going to work to give them what they want.
Well, we do have someone asking a question here. Being a B2B company providing services to jewelry retailers, how can we promote the retailers to buy gemstones from us? So this sounds like a supplier looking for that supplier to retailer connection.
Right. So let me just go through a few more slides here because I think we can address some of this. So what is the Fura plan? What is it that we sort of worked out with Fura? They basically said to us, look, you guys are have decades of experience. You know the trade. How can we get this going? And so what we really came up with was 7 different focuses, all in a chain here. And basically, we want to unite the industry under not just one message, which worked well for diamonds, decades ago. We want to embrace the brands out there, the looks out there, the different, types of jewelry that all use color. We want to enable not just one message, but multiple messages and hitting consumers on different levels, because we know now consumers are getting their information all over the place. Number two was they wanted to raise responsible mining to a higher level. Fura is very concerned about this. They're not an old company, they're a pretty young company. And when they went in and took over leases from all these different mining operations, they were already working mining operations. The first thing they did was health and safety, new protocols, new equipment, new tools for the workers. They're very concerned about responsible mining. All of the executives at Fura have decades of experience in mining. So they knew what these locations should really look like and how people should be operating in them. So they want to make sure that they're part of the lead in responsible mining. So number three was they wanted to show the trade also. They want to make sure the trade understands that they're going to be a reliable source. Something that came up in the research is that, even retailers didn't have a lot of confidence in the supply chain for color. If they got a certain color or a certain, they were collection of jewelry that they were manufacturing, they always had a feeling that they wouldn't be able to match those stones, or somehow there wasn't going to be continuity. So Fura understood this, and they're working on that a lot. Number four was that chain of custody, which we just talked about. Number five was quality standards, but also the color communication and education. That's what I was alluding to. We are putting together videos to train really everyone in the trade. And if consumers see them, all the better, about, all these different color gemstones, but also how they come to market, and how the education can really help the trade, and how to sell and romance the stone. This is part of that disconnect where manufacturers say, jewelry retailers don't know how to sell color, and retailers say, well, we could sell more color if you supported us more. So we know that the comfort and confidence level of salespeople in the store are really important. So we're working on that. Number six is that they're partnering with users to support their own brand. So this is on the back end level, all throughout the whole pipeline, including the retailers, people who are developing business with, especially with ruby, emerald, and sapphire. They want to help embrace them, make sure that they can help inspire them and support them to develop more of this work. They're not going to dictate. We told them straight up, let's don't go into the market and try to dictate what should be happening. Let's take all the good stuff that's already happening and elevate it. And number seven is, it's all about selling that product out the door. Every retailer is going to tell you it's those last 18 inches that matter. So everything we're doing is really focused on retail in the long run. So let me just back up to that question that you had asked. So the participation, based on what I just told you, is everyone in the pipeline. Everyone can be a member. Now, the Fura Marketing Council is a paid membership. Now, we have a lot of money to give away in co-op advertising support, B2B. So it's on the back end, and B2C. So if suppliers, jewelry manufacturers want to help their retailers, we can give them funds for that retailer, and we can give that retailer marketing assets, new video, new images, new messaging, new social media ads, whatever it is that they want. So it's a paid membership. It's on an annual basis. We're really focused on the North American market, the Australian market, and the Indian market right now. The membership is $25,000 a year. We're going to probably be giving out for each company, a lot more co-op advertising dollars than 25, but it's 25,000 a year. Retailers is free. So retailers are really the beneficiary here because, again, we know those last 18 inches are so important to get the product out the door and make those customers happy. So for retailers that are real, pure retailers, the membership is free. So everyone is welcome. We have a website. I'm going to show you that on the last page. You can go in, fill in an application. We want to meet you. We want to meet you at the shows in person that are coming up, AGTA and JCK also. So let me also tell you here on this last page, we do have the full, multi-page research report that's on our website. You can use this code when you go into our website, MVEye.com, premium reports. Up there, and there's a drop down. What do we do? You'll see reports on there. You hit premium reports. You'll see the report that aligns with this whole study, and you can put in a code and get a free copy and download it.
Wonderful.
And we have a website down here at the bottom, fmcgems.com. Questions?
Hey, we have questions here. We don't have any sitting in here now, but to understand just how the marketing group came about, there was Fura who wanted to know what was happening in the colored gemstone business. They asked MVEye to do a major research project for them. In doing the project, they saw opportunities to help through the supply chain to end up with more color in the consumer's hand. So that's how the Fura Marketing came to be. And congratulations, I think this is a great project.
Thank you. It's a multi-year project, by the way. It's going to take a while. Anything new takes a while, and we're really trying to change and expand opportunities that are there and create new opportunities and to engage the entire pipeline. So it's quite exciting. We're really looking forward to it. It's interesting to see where we are today, and we'll rerun a lot of that research in another year or so, and to really look at our progress.
Okay, I'm going to, when this is done, I'm going to put the website. Actually, go back to that slide. Share again and go back to the website slide. There are people that want to pick that up.
Sure.
Okay, so we have the slide up here with the access to the survey. So go ahead and copy that. But when you continue your research, Liz, something I would really like to see, and rubies, emeralds, and sapphires would be a good place to start, is price points that retailers are stocking compared to price points that retailers are selling. I want to make sure, I want to see where that sweet spot is, or where the opportunities for more inventory or less inventory, if that's the case. But I think that would be very interesting.
Okay, we'll make a note of that.
Okay, any more questions here? Well, Liz, looks like we don't have any questions here, but you all know how to reach her. She has her the website available here. So if they go to, why don't you give them your email address that you would like them to use if they need to.
You can go to liz@fmcgems.com.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. I appreciate you spending the time with us today. And I think it's wonderful that you were able to share this information with the audience. And there's someone here that wants details on the subscription plan. How do they get details on the subscription plan? Can you tell them? Would they just find that at FMC Gems?
Yes. So the membership plan is at, you could probably go to FMC gems.com. If you go under membership, there's an application there you can fill in. Even if you're a retailer, if you're a dealer, a cutter, or jewelry manufacturer, if you're a designer, please, we're welcoming the entire industry to come in. You can sign up for our newsletter. Even if you don't want to join, you can still sign up for our newsletter on the website. We have news, and you can sign up there for our newsletter. So, we're building a big tent here because everybody wants more color. The trade wants to sell more color, and the consumer wants to see more color and buy more color.
Well, I'm certainly going to sign up for the newsletter because I'd like to stay informed about your progress and what's happening with the marketing. Do I have any more questions?
Our first newsletter is coming out July 1. Because we just launched the whole program. So our first newsletter is coming out July 1, and we will be, if anyone is visiting AGTA, we'll be at AGTA and JCK shows.
Well, that's wonderful. We'll hope to see you there. And unless there are more questions, I just want to remind you that you will receive a recording of this webinar. And Liz has given you the information to get the report. And we'll put that on the follow-up as well. So you will get that. Very interesting. And I invite you all to join us next week, where our webinar is going to be with Jewelers Mutual. We had some webinars talking about the changes and the challenges over the past year. And some of you wanted to know, what do we need to do to make sure that our insurance covers all of the various aspects of business challenges, and especially looking at the last year. So join us for that. And then we're going to go dark for a few weeks, and we'll see you back in June. But thank you again, Liz, for a beautiful presentation. And everyone, please join us in Atlanta, October 23rd and 24th for our 2-day show. Liz, I hope you're there. And we will have the pre-show conference on Friday, October 22nd. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for supporting the AJS webinar series and Connected Education. And we'll see you again next week. Thank you, Liz. Beautiful.
Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, bye everybody. Bye, Liz.